There are moments in history when a nation's courage becomes so extraordinary that it refuses to be erased, no matter how many years pass. The bravery shown by the Filipino people during World War II is one of those moments, a story often overshadowed by larger armies and bigger countries, but one that deserves to stand in the light because it shows what true strength looks like. When war reached the Philippines in 1941, the country found itself facing one of the most powerful military forces in the world. The Japanese invasion came fast and came hard, overwhelming cities, bases, and coastlines. The Philippines did not have the same weapons, technology, or numbers. They were outmatched on almost every level. But what the Filipino people had was something far stronger than any weapon: an unbreakable spirit. Soldiers, farmers, fishermen, students, teachers, and ordinary workers all stepped forward to defend their land. Some fought with rifles, others with old equipment, and many with nothing but determination. They held the line for as long as humanly possible, often with barely any food, no rest, and dwindling ammunition. Even when their bodies were weak, their courage stayed strong. In Bataan, Filipino and American troops stood side by side in one of the most heroic last stands of the war. Conditions were brutal. Many soldiers were sick with malaria or dysentery. Supplies ran dangerously low. Hunger became a constant enemy. But despite everything, they refused to abandon their posts. They fought with whatever they had left because they knew the future of their nation depended on them. When Bataan fell, the world saw one of the darkest and most painful events in history: the Bataan Death March. Tens of thousands of Filipino soldiers were forced to walk over 100 kilometers under the scorching sun with almost no water or rest. Many collapsed from exhaustion. Many were beaten or killed. Yet, even in that nightmare, you could see the courage of the Filipino heart. Soldiers supported each other even when they could barely walk themselves. Some shared the last drops of water they had. Others whispered words of hope to keep their brothers alive a little longer. They suffered, but they did not let the enemy break their spirit. The Japanese thought the fall of Bataan meant the end of the resistance, but they underestimated the Filipino people. The real fight was only beginning. Across mountains, jungles, and remote villages, Filipinos formed guerrilla groups, ordinary people who transformed themselves into fighters. They had no uniforms, no official backing, and very limited weapons, but they knew the land better than anyone. They used the mountains as shields, the forests as pathways, and the night as their cover. They launched ambushes, cut enemy communication lines, rescued prisoners, and gathered valuable intelligence. They moved quietly, struck quickly, and disappeared before the enemy knew what happened. Entire communities joined the effort. Villagers hid guerrillas in their homes, shared food even when they had little, and risked their lives to pass information. The enemy threatened harsh punishments for anyone helping the resistance, but Filipinos continued to support the fighters because freedom mattered more than fear. Women played a crucial but often overlooked role. They carried secret messages, smuggled medicine, treated the wounded, and in many cases, fought alongside the men. They became the lifeline of the resistance, keeping hope alive when everything seemed impossible. As the war dragged on, the guerrilla movement grew stronger. By the time Allied forces began returning to the Philippines, tens of thousands of Filipino fighters were already standing their ground, clearing paths, gathering intelligence, and guiding soldiers through dangerous terrain. They played a huge role in the liberation of towns and cities, proving again that they were not just resisting oppression, they were reclaiming their homeland. When the war finally ended in 1945, the Philippines stood battered but unbroken. The nation had endured some of the worst hardships of the war, but its people emerged with honor, resilience, and a story of bravery the world should never forget. The untold story of Filipino courage during World War II is not just about battles won or lost. It is about a people who refused to surrender, who fought even when hope was fading, who carried courage in their hearts even when the world seemed to be collapsing around them. It is a legacy of strength, sacrifice, and unity that continues to inspire today. And it is a reminder that true bravery is not measured by the size of an army, but by the spirit of a people determined to stay free.